It sounds lame, but don't ever quit on yourself. Get out of a bad situation, but don't ever quit.
I'm Jason, and I've built companies worth millions, and I love weed. This is High Functioning, where we crush the lazy stoner stereotype one conversation at a time. Vinny DiMento went from finance spreadsheets to running dispensaries, helping to launch the Agriculturalist, a shop that is destined to stand out in Fall River, and it took just 2 years to open. Now he's running the show in one of the most competitive markets in the state.
We're trying to give back to everyone. We want to be cool. We want to have bring cannabis to a different light.
We talk about what it really takes to get our brand on his shelf, why most miss the mark, why buying local matters, and how the right bud tender can make or break your shop.
You got to let your employees know you value them. And it's so hard to do other than just providing them with more, not more work, but valuable work where they're like, this store needs me.
Right. That's where they derive purpose. Yeah. He's seen every side of this business and he's not holding back. You ready for a lesson? Let's get into it.
My name's Vinny DiMento. I am the GM over at the Agriculturalist. We actually just hit the agenda yesterday.
Congrats.
Long haul, almost 2 years with this project. But we're in Fall River, small little family-owned retail. We're going to just try to bring some local brands. For me, I've been doing retail now for about 8 years. And this will be the 4th dispensary I've opened, all different shapes and sizes in different markets. I've done Quincy, Clinton, Attleboro, now this is Fall River. But I'm trying to take everything I've established, learned in culture and brands and relationships and try to bring what I think is the best dispensary culture to Fall River. And so we just started hiring people. It's kind of that honeymoon stage where everyone's getting in the building. Yeah. Got my assistant general manager, Michael. He worked at Campfire and Aura and Renew. He's got great experience. But, I'm just trying to find the right mix of passion, experience, and, they got
teams,
the product.
Teams, everything. Yeah. So what
just like sports.
You got to rely, and you got to rely on the people.
Culture. Right. Team, and it starts from the top.
Right.
So if I'm not out there and I'm not showing them how to, be the right, support the customer, explain why I like a brand, then no one's really going to fall through with that. So to me, starting even in my first dispensary as a bud tender, it was contagious. Good employees were contagious. And when you had a good group out there, everyone had a fun day. Everyone was supportive of each other and you just enjoyed going to work.
Yeah. I mean, that's a key for a lot of people because, I think a lot of employees are purpose driven.
Yes.
More than the employers think.
Yeah.
Employers think that they're money driven, but they're really purpose driven. Yeah. They're willing to take, maybe less of a salary than maybe someone else would give them.
Especially
if it was because it's so passion driven. Right. People are here, especially with all the pain that we've been through as an industry in Massachusetts specifically. If you're still here, that's because you really love the place.
100%. I mean, how many times have you seen the story where the guy put his whole life into a company for a year plus and the reward never?
We have stories. Yeah, there's so many stories like that. So when it comes to wait a second, you've been doing this for quite a long time. You've opened 4 stores?
Yeah, so I started as a bud tender. I left I left a career in finance. I mean, I'm 40 this year. So
nice.
I'm a little on the, most of the 20s, early 30s, late 20s. But I shout out Seth Yaffe, family friend. He's well known in the industry. Ermont, which is now Panacea, they sold, but Ermont was a small family-owned group. That's where I started in the best culture possible. So I'll just go right there. So at Ermont, I left a career at finance. My last job was at American Tower. I was processing leases for landowner. We just go ask a landowner, okay, can we pop a tower in your land? And we just, pay them.
Right.
So,
that's cell towers.
Yeah, cell towers.
So, because every time I see a cell tower, I'm like, how did that thing get there? And it's in some random property or somewhere.
It's funny. I any cell tower, just for everyone to know, if you see that's white and red, that's American Tower. There's really only 2 players in the game. Okay. We can't let cannabis get to this. There's only 2 really big players in the game, and same with AT&T and Verizon. Right. Crown Castle and American Tower. Crown Castle is based out of Florida, American Tower up here. But yeah, I was slinging towers.
So red and white, it's American. Okay.
And I mean, I don't really care about cell phones and towers. So I had a point in my life where I'm do I chase the money longer or do I do something I like?
Right.
And so I took a leap of faith. I I went and started bud tending, and it was like a bartender, right? Like it was the greatest. I'd never done a service job.
Yeah.
I'd never done sales really.
Right.
I'd just always been a desk guy for finance, accounting. So yeah, I like never looked back.
So when you're looking at the agriculturists, you're borrowing these experiences.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So Ergmont, that was kind of like what you took from there is, I guess, customer service or culture.
Culture and like understanding. So like we had the cultivate. It was all in one building. Right. So like I got the luxury of like being around the cultivation. The only thing I didn't do was put on the scrubs and go in the cultivation. But we had I trimmed the bud there. The hang room was right there. The kitchen was right there. We were known for our edibles. We had like the coolest edibles. We had the lab right there. Shout out Chelsea. She was running the lab. A lot Devin, a lot of people from Ermont from like day one are all out in the industry now.
Yeah.
Just because they all had passion.
Devin Alexander?
Yeah, Devin was.
That's always weird because he started as a bud tender too, something like that, right?
Devin was one of my best friends at work. He was a bud tender about a year after me. Nice. When he went to get his, like, I would literally just like set him in the back, cover his register, and he was filling out, like he went through the process while it worked.
Applying for this.
Yeah, so to me, it's crazy to watch how far we've come. Right?
Right.
He's like, I'm going to get my own license. I'm like, damn, let's go. And from like, 18-hour bud tending or whatever it is to like running your own business. Right. I'm so proud of him. But yeah, like just the whole group we had there, we really just learned from each other. And like got better at like understanding all different aspects of cannabis. Right. And whether it be how to grow it, how to trim it, right, how to make edibles with it, then of course what product people like. Because in medical, you really got the best feedback from customers because they can buy more, try more, and they're more passionate about the product. Versus rec is kind of weekend warrior, man. Yeah. They'll go for the cheaper vape just for their peace of mind. Whereas the medical patient wants the quality. Right. Every time.
Good Vibes is more than a product, it's your cannabis toolkit. Drop it into your drink, mix it into tea, kick up your mocktail, or just pop it in straight. You can even bake or cook with it. Our unflavored option is perfect for brownies or any recipe where you want control and precision. No more guessing how strong your edibles are. Available in 500 milligram and 1,000 milligram bottles, and flavors like strawberry, grape, blue ras, and our newest, mango guava 1,000 milligrams. Grab your toolkit at dispensaries across Massachusetts or at getgoodfeels.com. And as always, 21 plus only, please consume responsibly.
So fast forward, I'm taking that like understanding, like this kid Gavin, shout out Gavin, he's now the head grower in Frenova in Rhode Island.
Oh, nice.
He was like, one of the growers there when we were there. At one point I was the manager and he was like the cultivation manager before we went to like our next step in our career. Yeah. So just like having all these cool connections and like, like just remembering how that honeymoon stage passion it was of like, just I'm working in legal cannabis. Right. And like to me, as much as it can get a job and as much as like a dispensary can be like any annoying, like, coffee shop, restaurant, bar, whatever.
Retail.
Just retail, we'll call it. I still don't think it ever could be as that bad as retail because you're selling cannabis. Yeah, it's a product you consume more so. But yeah, like it's
so you're pulling this experiences and putting it into the agriculturist, right?
Yeah.
What's another like big thing that I think dispensaries maybe are even doing wrong today still that you're taking from another store that you've worked at and put it
so two things I'm applying that I think is going to help us as we go. Yeah. So one is I'm doing the kitchen style where like everyone's going to the pickup, and I grew up with like. Inventory is separate from bud tending. Mm-hmm. It's cleaner, it's more efficient, and the bud tender never stops interacting with the customer. Mm-hmm. And to me, like that is number one thing.
So how exactly does that work? You're talking about like, I think, not knowing retail as well. You mean like deli style?
So I'll explain it to you. So deli style is a whole different ballgame. Okay. That's just flower. So to pick them, so when you go into dispensary, you notice some dispensaries you walk in and there's a window like Comcan right down the street. The window. So like Comcan, shout out Charlie Yon, Megan, they're like Ermont, they were part of that crew. They were we crossed over for like a couple months, but it was almost like the baton thing. Nice. But I have so much respect for like how they vision, like they see the retail and everything like that. And to me, that's the best way to do it. Is have the inventory in the back with the window. It's almost like an open kitchen,
right?
Like
you can still see back there,
like 510 grill,
but it's a vault.
Like you can just see the people cooking. Yeah. So it's the vault. It's the vault. Like it will shut it in at night and all be in there, but it's not moved. Mm-hmm. The bud tender will just talk to them customer send the ticket back like you would a kitchen, the inventory person who knows where everything is with the right metric tag will just fill it quick, put it back in the bin.
Put in like a
person still interacting with the customer, maybe upselling.
Yeah.
And then the inventory person puts the correct order back in the bin. The bud tender checks it while he's, catching.
Making sure everything's there, yeah.
And then that's it. And to me, at the beginning of the day, the end of the day, the counts, the inventory person just understanding inventory versus what bud tenders show up that day. And some might like doing it, some might not like that part of the job. But the pick'em style is the one where you see all the racks, which I think is ugly as well, behind the counter, and the bud tenders will just go pick them for you.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
Yeah, I've seen that a few. I've seen I think the Collective does that. I think I've seen even like Apex.
Like Quincy Cannabis, I love them. They help them open. They have to, because they have a small store. Yeah. And like the fall. But I think, I don't think it's the wrong way to do it. But personally, one of my biggest things is like the window. I grew up on it. It was my first way to do it. And I still think it's like the best customer service. And like you're going to walk in, you're going to see our store. There's 4 counters. And the window's like literally from me to this camera. And you can just see everything going on. There's no nonsense. The inventory person could even chime in and say give some advice.
Right.
So to me, it helps the whole atmosphere.
Right. And what's the second takeaway that you've had over these years?
So the second takeaway is we have a production room. And so the second takeaway is understanding like how it works. And like, so like when we start getting bulk flour and bagging it ourselves and just understanding the labor and like what good bud looks like,
right?
Just
the quality that's coming in.
And like when they see the quality of like this company versus this company, and like that's when you really understand trim, quality, cure, all that. And then like they're around it, so that helps them sell it anyway.
Is that you going in and be like, this is what makes good bud good, kind of thing? Like, do you have another person who's like really tuned into the flower side of it that's gonna like judge that? So when you're rolling up the pre-rolls, you're like, don't buy from these people again. We'll sell them, but like we can't buy from these people again because they've stored a bunch of shit.
So I will run into that as we go, but I pretty much have built so much relationships up by this point in my career that like I trust the companies I'm going to do that with. I will try a few as we go, right? If they give me the right price and they've come through in other ways.
Right.
But I'm probably, going to stick to the ones I already like, it's my reputation attached to that label. So I need to make sure, like, if I'm selling you a $35 eighth, like, it will, not probably in our packaging, but if I'm selling you a $30 premium eighth in our packaging, we will have a premium line, like, then it should be worth it. And like, and it's up to me to source the right person. And so, and then same with the brands we're working with, like, I'm not going to undercut any brands. I'm like, that's one thing I've like, when my short stint in wholesale really helped me understand that game.
You worked for wholesale for who?
So that was the best experience for me to like solidify my understanding of the industry.
The transaction part of it.
Yeah, like being on the other side of the...
You were B2C. You were kind of like in front of customers.
Other side of the counter is, so Nimbus. They, actually, Justin Foley, it was one of those moments where I met him at Zahara and I got him on the menu there, and they'd just been a small, local new company. And I'm passionate about small local business, and we kept the relationship. And then I ran into him at Quincy Cannabis when we were opening.
Nice.
And he was like, "We have an account manager job. You seem like a great fit." And his vision was like, "Let's bring it from a different angle. Like, I just know what a GM would think like." And it actually did help with the account management. And I had a great time, but it helped me learn all. Like, so I got to travel the state and see like every dispensary.
Right.
I used it like to like understand even better of like retail. There's so many ways to do it, and there's so many wrong ways to do it, and then like the market matters. So for my next job, if I were to go back into retail, it would have to be the right market, the right opportunity, and like not just like not just jumping on another wheel.
Right.
Someone like my ideas don't apply, and so I'm as you
like that collaborative experience.
You run your own business. Like as you get older, you want to just bring everything you think works best and like really go for it. And I'm going for it with my owner Colin. He's an entrepreneur. He's got real estate, restaurants. He had a marina. Like he really just sees opportunity. He has a shout out High Limb Cider.
Cider company.
They have a local cider company that we could definitely talk about something. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of room, but he's always looking to find the next step or like next opportunity. So like, I told him, let's get this one store off the ground. We do well. We're in a city, a border town. Like, I mean, Fall River is a city. It's got a market. It's on the Rhode Island border. Not that like Rhode Island doesn't have their own products, but people enjoy our flour.
Yeah, no, that's a thing.
It's like,
that's absolutely a thing.
It's definitely a thing where like, you do want to check the 3 boxes. Right. It's like population, location.
Right. Well, that's kind of where I was going to. But before I go to the location side of it, I think it's important for people to listen, especially the audience that's maybe the bud tender level right now.
Yep.
Is that if you're passionate about something and you put the work in, you can go pretty far, because this is, for lack of a better word, as far as like individual contributions at companies that are good companies, especially, it is a meritocracy in that sense, where like if you put the work in and if you do the work, there's plenty of opportunity for you.
Piggyback on that. That's one of those things I pride myself on. So like so there was one stint, small little one called Society. I was there for a brief time.
So can you contact them to get us some money? I
have no affiliation. I had a.
For those who don't know, Society,
it's on their resume.
I think they sold our product to somebody else. And
learned a lot from that. So you learn from failure.
Yeah.
Right. So like that's my point, is I didn't have much say in regards there, but I learned a lot from what
it's not that much money
do and stuff like that. Yeah, there's a lot of
that's something.
But anyway, the group I met initially there that we all spread out. Like it was my first jump into retail. There was Resh from Vermont. Like it was finally my first crew. What I'm trying to get at is they helped me learn how to like train people up, and like I just saw the potential in people. So like a few of those people, like Avery was a killer. Like he went out and did amazing.
He's still going.
Go support him, Cowboy.
Cowboy is his brand. Yeah,
I'm gonna meet with him soon. But yeah, like just understanding like. Nick Marziotti, who helped me build this place up. There's just a lot of good people I met at this company. Mike Fantasia was one of them.
Oh yeah, Mike.
So long story short, even the bud tenders there ended up getting little jobs as manager positions or whatever, because they learned from like being around people who just knew like what to do at the right time.
Exactly.
Then I went to Zahara, and that's when I first built my own team. And like that's when I like, they just handed me a blank office with like a computer, and they're like,
go.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I've been doing this time.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's when I knew like I can do it.
Right, exactly.
And I did it, and that was like my first, that was my first team. Yeah. That was like Society was my first team, but I didn't build it.
At every jump, did you have like that imposter syndrome?
Yeah, of course. Today, like, are you kidding? Like I mean, now I have more responsibility on my plate down to, so I don't think we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
I just want to finish to be like, I don't think that ever ends. So I really think I want to give the young kids like, don't ever think that's going to end.
Yeah.
You can fake it, but it doesn't end.
Right.
So so by basically like from that I learned. So Quincy Cannabis, when I got there, they already had Matt Little, another awesome guy in the industry, as a GM. So Ron, the owner, was one of my favorite medical patients. So I was like, Ron, I want to help you get off the ground. I know you're the GM. I'm kind of looking to go into wholesale because I'm kind of like, trying something new. So we just, did like contract. I signed a contract just to get them off the ground for like a couple months. I'm still very close with them, but that was like my second team because I trained the staff.
Right.
So like I was like, Matt, you take care of like the inventory, stickering, all the licensing, and then I just trained the staff for 2 weeks, and they're still my cool staff. I go in there and I love them all. So
for that staff, are you talking about retail staff?
Correct.
Primarily, okay.
And a lot of them are still there in big positions or went to other positions.
Right. And do you have like a standard philosophy when it comes to training? Do you have like a book that you give them, or is it more hands-on and like in the moment kind of stuff?
It's more like, listen, you work in legal weed and people love that you like to tell them what to buy, and like just remember like this job's it's an awesome job, and like look who you're working with, and if you make it a great job, like it's just leading by example. So like when I'm out there, make their day better, pick them up. Like I worked in so many bad accounting. This is freaking. I worked in so many mundane, boring, passive aggressive accounting jobs that that's a muscle for me.
Yeah.
So like no matter what, the rainy, busy. Like I remember there was a Black Friday at Zahara where the Dutchie went down.
Yeah.
It's 9:05, and I have like 40.
9:05 in the morning.
Yeah, 8:05. We opened. We just opened, right?
And Dutchie's down.
And Dutchie's down, and I have like 40 pre-orders that we haven't filled, and like also walk-ins, and everyone just staring at me, and that's when I'm like, Could be worse. Could be like, you know, like I
could be in accounting right now.
Sweating about being fired on Friday because I didn't get the report by Thursday.
Right.
So I'm like, hey, everyone, can you just line up? If you ordered, head over here. If you didn't order over here, like just like any sports, just like anything, you lead by like calmness, and it filters everywhere. Yeah, you're gonna have a few people yell at you and stuff, but everyone looks at them like, why'd you do that? Yeah,
why are you yelling? Like,
create that culture in that room. So to me, like, it's just making that positive work environment, making the, like, you know, you just don't want to burn your employees out. You want to give them a fair wage. Like, yes, you're going to, like, get on them if they're not doing their job right. But, like, there's a lot of retails out there that take advantage of what they got. Yeah. And I'm not going to do that.
They're very exploitive.
I guess I'm like that in a lot of ways because there's a lot of things in life that I maybe, like, didn't do that with and now I care for. Like, you know, just, like... Yeah. So that's what I care for. And, like, it really is just, like, if you support your... like, I tell this to everyone in my interviews. I'm like, I want to have the problem where I can't pay you enough because you're too good.
You're so good, yeah.
That's what I want. Yeah. I wanted you so good you could do my job. Right. And that's what I would tell all the people I used to work with at all these stores. So I think that is why I wasn't the best at everything. Like, I maybe, like, was great at, like, sales, and I'm very organized, right? I have a finance degree. So, like, yeah, the money side of it and all that. But I tell all these kids, I'm like, you guys all have the capability to do what I do. 100%. Like, 100%. Maybe even better. Like, you never know. Because it just, you have all the, like, you're growing in a different age. Right. Like, I'm learning this we're learning on the fly, both of us.
100%. Yeah, there's no way.
We're dialed in, and people are going to be going to school for this. And, like,
eventually, there's going to be like 4-year degrees for it. Yeah. You know, under the hospitality side, maybe for retail, there'd be like a minor in cannabis retail or something like that, right? Yep. So, yeah, it's all going to be there because this industry isn't going away anytime soon.
No, and I think that, on top of that, that's why the connections are the most important thing in the industry.
100%. Relationships are everything. And I think that people don't understand. Their reputation precedes them. And I've heard so many people being like, oh, do you know this person? They did all these things. And I'm like, oh, good to know. Yeah. And I don't throw shade on competitors. I try to stay in the positive side, which is a lot of this podcast is about the positive side.
You've always been
of cannabis.
Like, it's the way to be.
I have to.
Yeah,
you can choose to be positive. You can choose to be negative. I choose to be positive. It makes me way happier.
You'll never get sick of the over positive cheesiness of cannabis.
It's cheesy
that's
sometimes.
One thing where a finance water cooler, you're like, hey guys, how about, like, you can't even talk about weed, let alone, Right. So, my point is that don't ever take that for granted. You're in one of the most positive work environments. And again, we're only 10 years in. And, like, you're looking back, I know it sounds dumb, but, like, look at the car industry in, like, the 50s or something. You can use any analogy you want, but that's why I am head down. Like, I could probably be financially doing much better and career-wise if I just stuck to what I was doing. But happiness and investing in yourself and just, like, doing something you like. Yeah. Eventually, if you, like, you kind of just touched upon this earlier, eventually, if you just get so good at what you're doing in the moment, you will just go up without trying. So, like, you don't want to just lily pad all the young people out there. Don't,
like, 9 months into a,
grow with someone where they're like, you should get this kid because he's good at the job. Right. Okay, so the reason I'm in this situation is because of Charlie Yon. Yeah. So Charlie Yon, native son, you know, he's awesome company, great staff, like one of my favorite run companies in the state.
Native son.
I've almost worked for them a couple times. It's like one of those things where it's like it happened for a reason. Right. And so Charlie introduced me to Colin because Charlie was me originally. And Charlie had native son. So he's so busy with native son that Colin needed someone to run the thing, and Charlie pointed to me. Yeah. So if I wasn't like, and I was, you know, just started with Quincy at the time, and I'm like, I kind of want to try wholesale, but let me meet him. So that's funny, full circle moment, like we're talking about the Agriculturalist. I met Colin in the empty parking lot in 2023 in January. Yeah. Like, wow, okay, let me think about this. And then tried all, like, the wholesale for that, like, that spring. And then that end of, like, that July, it all just kind of naturally worked out where I'm like, I think I got to go for this. And the Nimbus had kind of, like, their accounts were where they were. And I just took a leap of faith. Yeah. It's like, I got to build a business, and this is an opportunity I'm not going to get, like, again. Yeah. Like, maybe it won't be the same situation. But to this day, like, we're here, we're at the finish line. He's been nothing but supportive to me. Like, he's one of those awesome owners where, like, he's my age. He loves cannabis. but he like wants to make cannabis. Like, we're not trying to be the fancy dispensary, but we're trying to be like, we had this quote, we got rid of it. It was weed for grown-ups. And it's kind of like, it kind of stigmatizes the other side. But what we're trying to say is we're trying to make cannabis a staple of like normalcy.
Right.
Like, this is a cannabis store, respect it.
Right, exactly.
Like coffee shop.
No, I get what you mean by that, but I could see the isolation of
so we didn't want to isolate that. We're really trying to build, like, if you come in the store, it's like all art, rustic. We have the old fireplace, we painted it green. So it was the bank for Cheryl Wagner, which is you know how we're all sourced in industrial sections. Cheryl Wagner was actually his grandfather's company that builds these beautiful brass baths and like bathroom
the fixtures and stuff.
Like, they actually think he was famous for like the Golden Swan bathtub thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Shout out Billy Madison.
There you go.
But so we were in front of that factory. We actually have a sign on the back that you can see from 195, which is amazing. But this was like the old little bank that was empty. Like, I can show you a picture after.
So let's talk about this spot. So wait a second. What, and this is gonna sound spicy, but like, what gives you the right to open up in Fall River? Aren't there like 1,000 stores in Fall River right now?
So we'll go right to that, I guess. It's funny because he's building on top of his grandfather's legacy, like cannabis.
No,
legacy.
totally, and I get the family side
Fall
of it.
River is,
but it's like Fall River is like even New Leaf. I know Peter has opened. He had one store. Now he opened a second store just in Fall River. Aura's there.
Why would he? But
true. Yeah. Because there must be something to it. Right?
So to me. I guess I compare it to Quincy and Attleboro, where like there's a saturated market and you got to have your brand. So like when I opened Zahara, I went toe to toe with Nova. So I had to go toe to toe with like the giant.
Right.
And it was like me and a good group of young and like, cultured people that like understood like, okay, we're not going to beat Nova on their price and their blunts, but we can beat them with like our personality and our different vendors.
Yeah. Because Nova is vertical.
Yeah.
They have everything. So their margins are pure margin.
And they're like, talk about finance, like they're business guys.
Yeah.
They're like, I can speak their language.
Yeah.
So like I could see what was happening.
Right.
But like, week 2, I don't want to get too deep into it because I have nothing against
Don't spill the tea if you don't need to.
I don't have nothing against with Nova, but like, I just, they went to win and like we had, so like,
100%.
I understood the game. And so like, like for example, we'd send out one signed person, they'd send out 2. Yep. So like, it was one of those things where like, we're not going to beat them, like fighting fire with fire. We have to innovate. Yeah. And so Fall River is that. Quincy was that right away because you had the established Rockland ones.
Yeah. Rockland.
And all you had, and everyone's like, oh well, right. This is how this pivots into the staff thing. So like, I'm out there on the floor the whole first couple weeks. Yeah. And then everyone's like, oh, Vinny's back in Quincy. So it helped with my like Quincy knowledge, but like the people who I didn't know would come in and be like, oh, you don't have this? They have that at Health Circle. Oh, you don't have this? They have that at Canavan. I'm like, give us time and try this instead. Right. And then over time, convenience, we all have everything. Yeah. It all happens naturally. Yeah. But you just got to like let them know that like this isn't permanent and like we will listen to your suggestions and like we do have other stuff and then eventually they either try the other stuff or because they don't want to drive the extra 10, 20 minutes. So like my point is our location's phenomenal. Yes, we have Cosmos Stories, we have NEA kind of over there, but we're all different. And I think in like another thing is I'm kind of in this niche where like I'm in the middle of like community meets business, whatever, on the other side of 81 and the other side of like the 2 highway kind of thing. So, so to me, it's reputation. It's like, okay, I have a huge parking lot. I can go park with the space next to me, get out of my car, maybe make like, like walk down, wait in line for a little bit, nothing crazy. It's nice in there. Yeah. I feel happy shopping there. And like 2 ways out. There's like the way to go 24 south, like without avoiding the horrible rotary and where the traffic is. So like, I think actually my location's great. New Leaf, it's funny to me, New Leaf and Perpetual have a sign right in front of my dispensary. Oh, like a billboard. Yeah. But like right there. Yeah. So like my point is like, they're over in a different area. So it's like those people who shop there in that area, they're going to be in that area. Right. We're hoping to take the people that drive from our area to that area just for their products. And like, I think it's because I worked with New Leaf at Nimbus. They do they're winning, I think, in Fall River in a way because of like their just staffing and products. It's just simple.
Yeah, and how do you feel about
Clean store? It's
it's like
store.
very nicely done. Yeah, exactly. And so when it comes to the
Saturated. So
well, I was gonna say Fall River. It's to me, it's almost like Brockton. I think of like Northampton. I think of the store. They have like 17 stores for a population of like 30,000 or something like that. You know, it's like
I'll say Fall River to me. So like Northampton is Northampton, just not as much people.
Right.
Brockton, I grew up around that area, like Westwood. So Brockton is one of those things where knowing Brockton from day one, from like even in good health from way back in 17, 18, Brockton just never is going to leave the streets. Like Brockton's one of those, like, it's a tough market and they oversaturated fast. And like like in good health, the companies that were early are winning, like, or the ones, and there's some good stores. Like, the Canopy and Green for All, like that area is good. Like there's some great areas there, but it's not like as big as a city, like it's not as condensed of a city as Fall River. I think Fall River is more like a Lowell. Yeah. So like, there's a lot up there that there's a bunch of at the same time. Yeah.
There's also this
it's very similar to that. Or Lowell meets Worcester, where like Worcester's gonna have its pockets where one's winning but one's not doing as good, and that's like Fall River too. Right. So I don't think it's as bad as Brockton or Northampton, but I don't think it might not be as good as Lowell, but it's somewhere in the middle.
This episode is brought to you by Good Feels, makers of Good Vibes, the fast-acting tincture that actually delivers. Whether you're into classic flavors like grape, blue raz, or strawberry, or want to try our brand new 1,000 milligram mango guava, we've got a vibe for every taste. Just pop it into your drink and feel it kick in fast. None of the wait, all the feels. Available now in 500 milligrams or 1,000 milligrams bottles across Massachusetts dispensaries or at getgoodfeels.com. As always, 21 plus only, and please consume responsibly. So when it comes to, like, I'm assuming you did a bunch of market research because you've obviously traveled a ton just in stores. And so when that location, you obviously chose to do things probably a little bit different to differentiate yourself at some point. But before we go into the actual like physical differentiations, what about the brands? Because I think about this often as a brand owner.
Yep.
And sometimes, you know, on the Cape, for instance, some store would be like, well, you're in this one, and if you're in that one, I can't take you.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Now, you worked at Nimbus also, right? So, like, you understand the whole from the wholesale side, we're kind of like, but like, if you don't carry our product, then they are going to go to the other store because we get the hot product.
Yes.
So it's like, how does the agriculturist, or like maybe just your perspective in general on like on having the same brands as other stores, and if you do, then how do you kind of win at that point?
So funny you say that. Okay, so that's like my job basically, is like to really understand, you know, the game plan, right?
Yeah.
Lay out the game plan. And to me, it's not worrying about your competition as much. It's starting with what you think works. And then just like anything, when you see something that like is undercutting a certain aspect, maybe they have an $8 eighth or something like that. Maybe I'll get a $12 eighth, but I'll market it better. Like I'm not going to always be able to compete with them like decently. And like, I don't even want to go with it's our brands attached to that product too. So to me, I already pretty much, like I've already done my research with my, you know, you scout your competition. Yep. I know who's working with. And in this day and age, that's what I mean about being hands-on. Like I think a lot of these bigger companies in the back offices, they just kind of hit the reciprocal button.
This you want to go.
Yep, that looks good. That looks good.
Oh man, reciprocals. Yeah, it's like that.
But they don't look at that as traffic and reputation and whatever.
Yeah.
And so just like Seasons gas station you'd pull into versus the old Mobile Mart, right? Right across the street. And we just got to be that.
Yeah.
And well, that's function. Everything works. You know, you're going to get your change, your receipt. The product's going to be not faulty.
Yeah, that's the base level.
You're going to get. So we're going to give back in ways with the, you know, deals. We're going to have good deals. Right. So like we just really want to be like, you shopping with us, we're going to help you win. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like, we're going to make it fun for you. And also like so that's a huge thing. We have a massive map in our store, and I haven't fully developed. This is my last little project in the store, but I'll need one from you too, is I'm getting pins from all our local vendors. Nice. And I'm going to show everyone how many vendors we work with and like where they all are. And I'll have a key of like good feels, good vibes, Medway, Mass, established, J Sposer, established whenever. Right. You know, the grow tier 1, whatever. Yeah. And then people can start like really understanding why they're buying from where.
That's fun.
Or like know, like, you know, like, oh, that's like just kind of like you would do with, you know, alcohol, coffee, farming, like agriculture.
Yeah, agricultural products. Yeah. And I mean, you're called the agriculturalist, which I think is a blessing in many ways, because there are and this is the early saturation days where it's just like green this, green can of this, can of that, all these names are THC acronyms or something like that. We constantly get them confused. Like, oh, you talk to, I'm not going to name any names. I don't want to upset anybody. But it's like, you talk to that company. I'm like, oh yeah, blah, 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 this happened. They're like, oh no, you're thinking about the other one. That's called this. And it's just like, I can't keep it straight sometimes.
Funny talk on that. Like our original name, if you look in the thing, was Agricultural Healing. Because we were dual.
Healing.
And I was
Healing's
like,
the one
we
comes
were
up.
like, I don't think that's, I was like, there's too many healings out there.
I know.
Like, real, like, there's too many, like,
or something like that.
Canada's healings, you name it.
Yeah.
So we just like the botanist, kind of like, we just go with something new, right? Like, just
Yeah,
agriculturalist.
There you go.
And that's kind of who I pivoted on. Like, that's straightforward and it works.
Yeah, one word. The agriculturalist, even though it's two words, but the agriculturalist makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So, but getting back to the store specifically, the differentiators, and I think I've been talking about this a lot with...
Getting back to brands too.
Brands, yeah. So when it comes to, and I always, there's brands component, but you actually mentioned the pricing component also. Okay. They've got an $8, pre-roll, and you got a 12 or whatever, an eighth or whatever it might be. Hopefully not an eighth for that price, but you never know.
I hate even saying a $12 rate.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That hurts me, yeah.
But here's the thing, like, and that's almost coming like the Nova Zahara side of it as well, where you're just like, Nova can just drive down prices, and all of a sudden they've got like the $15 eighth, and you're like, how do we compete with that? Because we're just a store. We're retail only.
You have to buy it.
You have to buy it at the right price, of course.
Yeah.
But then it's also like, what I think is really important here that you hit upon, which I think a lot of retailers don't still understand, is you can look at your competitors' menus and you can scope out what they're doing, but you can't compete on price. It's going to burn you every single time. You've got to compete on customer service.
You burn your menu too.
You're going to burn your menu, and people are going to expect that all the time from you. So if you have a $15 eighth, well, then the other store has a $15. Now it's we're going to go $13 now, like, and then all of a sudden it's a race to the bottom, like everybody says. Which is, I know a lot of people got caught up in the price compression. But now it's kind of like, and I know there are some holdout stores. There are some stores out there that are still selling eighths for like $35 and it's crazy stuff like that, which they can get sometimes because it's in a specific market.
I'm going to provide that. That's what I'm trying to bring to the market. Like, we're not going to move it fast, and the vendors know that that's going to be the case in my market.
Right.
But I'm going to support them, and we're going to try to, like, especially in the deals, like, all right, today, try this, and maybe you'll buy at full price one day because you saw how good it was. Right. Like, tried how good it was.
But that's the thing, is you're competing at that point at, like, customer service, ultimately, and whoever provides the best customer service and experience and culture and all this other stuff and maybe contributes back to the community, those are the people who win and get more market share.
Community-wise, we have the massive parking lot. We already planned
that's huge.
Opening.
Especially in a city.
Colin's a big, so like he runs at his building in Providence, they run events like weddings. So he's not he knows how to run an event.
Yeah.
We also haven't planned for maybe a lounge, because like that's one of those opportunities that I feel like,
imagine Fall River going.
We hold our breath. We'll not be the first one, but maybe the fifth one.
Right.
But like you want to like have your eye set on the right trends.
Yeah. And
then maybe that's a good way where you like, they shop at a store, they want us to consume our products out in the store, like outside the store.
So, but so the consumption stuff definitely is going to be coming down the line. I can imagine Fall River kind of adapting those rules. Maybe
there's a lot of ways to go about it. Like we have the lot, you can do something with the outdoor stuff.
Oh, true.
I don't know. We have a lot of options.
Yeah, we get private events, of course. Before social consumption got to get solidified. But when it comes to like on the event side, totally understand that. But like
we would love to do private events, like just be part of the community. That's what I mean. I'm trying to give back to the cannabis community as the new guys on the block, even locally. Like I have no problem with I'm not like New Leaf, all those local companies. Like we're all in cannabis together. I'm going to support you guys. I'm even I want to incentivize like their employees to try my stuff. Like we're going to have cool stuff, and my employees might go to your stores. Who knows? It's just one of those things where like we're all in this together. But I want to be a place that like, we're in the South Coast area. Yeah. We're trying to give back to everyone. We want to be cool. We want to have bring cannabis to a different light.
Yeah. I think that's important because again, I do the same thing, especially as a brand. Like I'm there to support the stores. So, and you don't carry our products, but maybe you will someday, right? Like it doesn't matter to us. If there's anybody who needs help out there with retail or something like that, or brand activations, or even just like an opinion about how it should be done because they think a brand isn't really working that well for them, like what they could do better in stores, talk to us. Like we happen to help you. And because you may be like, you know what? These guys know what they're talking about. And their products seem to be really great. So we could probably bring them in at some point, whatever. But it's not, it's about the relationships, because you also don't know, as you mentioned already, it's a bit transient with some of the employees, right? So they're kind of like, they got, they're working under Vinny for, a year, and all of a sudden they've got their chops and they've figured out how to, to do really good as a bud tender. Now they're going to like an AGM role or something like that because they understand they've been trained right. And now they're at a different store. And now you're like, hey, I know, John, whatever, help, what's going on in your store? Like introduce it to the buyer or whatever. It's relationships.
Yeah.
Right?
So like they learn like, oh, they meet Rachel, they meet you. They like, oh, good feels, good vibes.
Yeah.
And then when they think of quality drinks, they take that to the place they go. Exactly. Yeah. That's where I'm at now.
Right.
Everyone who's scratched my back or I've seen do well in my stores and followed through and are like quality vendors. And I like the people too. Those are the people that I want to be attached to and work with.
Yeah. Fall for.
Literally. And like, honestly, like that's how, so like you said, you could have like your sales rep go into the store and give them one day in a store that doesn't carry your products, and everyone in that store is going to want your product.
Yeah, exactly.
The person is good at explaining their sales.
Yeah.
So the bud tender can be that like 50% off. You know what I mean? It's
I feel
it's like getting the bud tenders around the brands and understanding them by like first hand versus like, here's good vibes, here's why it's good.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that first-hand experience is really important. And I feel like some of the things that like around the regulatory side is hard, obviously, because sampling and all this other
That's
stuff.
why pop-ups do kind of matter.
Yeah.
If they're good pop-ups.
Yeah.
Like there's bad pop-ups and there's good pop-ups.
Yeah. Well, we and that's one of the things that actually came up recently is, somebody was talking about, our product online, and I had to reiterate the fact that like, we work a ton in education because we do pop-ups all the time.
Yeah.
I think as many people are pulling away from doing pop-ups because it's so cost ineffective in many ways.
Because they're not doing it right.
They're not doing it right.
The real, like the people who are doing pop-ups right are like, shout out Griff, shout out like
Griff.
The people who actually like are like the companies who are letting their salesmen have, it's tedious at times. I had to do it.
Yeah.
But like,
you mean the hybrid sales?
Nimbus made me do 3 pop-ups a week, even as a salesman.
Yeah.
It's like we had a pop-up person.
Yeah.
But you never like. They want the salesman to really do the pop-up because A, you're going to see the AGM or GM and upsell, and B, like you're just going to actually explain to the people better than even or like the bud tender is just going to like sponge off you all day.
Yeah.
And like they'll look
it's
forward to the
education.
next time. But but pop-ups are what you put into it.
Yeah.
Right.
You got to if you put a solid effort into it, you get a lot out of it. Yeah. And so that's one of the things. So we're hiring, right now ourselves, and we're hiring for production. We're hiring for an accounting or like a junior accountant role because collections, there's things like that.
Yeah,
that's still
a big
occurring.
thing. And that's so.
And then also BA, brand ambassador stuff.
Like collections, like that's one thing I will say right out. Like I'm a finance major. The number one thing I'm seeing right now on LinkedIn. Yeah, it's getting messy. It's getting nasty, and
there's some names getting thrown out there.
It's
now.
the time though. Yeah. People are blindly just. Like, look how good we're doing, but then like not address. It's like anything, right? Yeah. It's like the Instagram world. Mm-hmm.
And
all the good is shown, but not the bad. So I'm gonna be very transparent, and like I can just the vendors who I'm working with know me personally. So my point is, I'm attached to this company. So my reputation is attached to this company, and I plan on doing things as smart and right as I can.
What I think a lot of it comes down to is just
getting bad.
It's communication more than anything. If you ghost. That's just not a good signal. It's like you could just get back to be like, hey, we don't have the money here, but like, that's like such a weak excuse, like not getting back to somebody. And there's a couple of people right now, world, and I'm like, just talk to us at least. Like, if you can't make the payment, you can't make the payment. I get it, but like, at least have an open communication about it. So, and it bums me out because. Not only is there a store opening down the street from them and their prices are super low and they're getting all panicky and they're like, hey, what can you do for on price? Because we got to lower our prices and all this other stuff. And I've had those uncomfortable calls sometimes. And I'm like, don't compete on price, compete with customers, right? Mm-hmm. We're always giving the advice to the retailers, be like, there's better ways to do this and better marketing and better tactics to be able to get customers into your store than just getting a cheap price, because those customers are also transient and they're moving around because they're just, tack hunting all day, going to store after store after store. And I remember one AGM actually told me on the collection side, or was it a GM? I can't remember. But anyway, she told me, she was literally like, yeah, I talked to the owners. Somebody had called her out on basically and said, hey, I'm sorry you can't place another order. You owe us $150,000. She's like,
she doesn't know any better. Yeah.
She's like, what are you talking about? Every time the invoice comes in, I send it right to my accounting team. I'm so sorry. Like, I had no idea. Like, how much? It was 150,000.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And you obviously would know the people involved in this one, but like when that happened, she was just like, she talked to the superiors, the people who were in charge, like the ownership, and been like, hey, like I can't fill my store up with products because we owe them money and they won't give us any more orders. Can we please pay this? And her instructions right from the top were, go find another vendor to fill that spot.
Yeah, that's not the answer, but that's what's happening.
That's
because there's so many out. So like it's a short.
There's like, so many gummy manufacturers. There's like so many pre-roll manufacturers.
Short-term fix though, right?
It's all short.
Because it's all going to burn in the end because reputation's everything.
Well, she refused to do it and she left the company. She was like, I'm not doing that.
Two things I'll have with bad ownership, and I'm not going to say any of the names.
Yeah, no names.
Like, I mean, we already touched a few companies, but like the bad ownership to me is when like, so like I had a point where I was doing all the buying and then politics got involved. Like, why does he do the buying when I should do the buying? And then like again, back to sports, I'm a team player. Right. I will do what's best for the team as long as I think everyone's going to be happy because that's the daily operation thing. So then like ownership gets a hold of my spreadsheet and realizes we're not making 100% margin on everything, but it's a dance. It's 100% cumulative. It's not like that's when I realized, oh, it's like penny pinching. It's like, it's greed. It's short-term thinking.
Yeah.
And they took a menu I created that was great and like switched vendors for price. You can't do an apple for an orange, right?
Yeah.
And like I just saw it happening, and so like to me, I remember all these moments, and I'm like, yeah, I'm in charge now, but like I have an awesome AGM, and I have 2 retail leads, and I'm gonna listen to them,
right? And
they're gonna tell me, hey, we should get this brand. I'll talk to that brand, and then if this is annoying to sell, I'll go back to that vendor and we'll talk.
We'll figure out what.
But like I'm not gonna just do things to do things because in the boardroom it looks good.
Absolutely. And I think especially like people who are like so removed, right? Yeah, they're so far removed. Their headquarters is in Ohio or wherever, right? And it's just like they're just pushing either reciprocal button or
he nailed it. It's like
they're pushing the reorder button because they're just like it's spreadsheets to them.
They're literally only looking at spreadsheets. Yeah. They're not worrying about Johnny's doctor's appointment. We're understaffed. The order's late. They don't know anything.
Yeah,
they're just like, why did our Friday go down $5,000?
Exactly.
That's not how you're ever gonna win.
Yeah.
You're going to win by like building something up naturally to like, yeah, everything's going to be volatile, but like it should go slowly up volatile.
Yeah.
Like, and then understanding what the industry, like that's what I mean about like cannabis is cannabis. Some things move at 150% price. Some things move at like 80, 70%.
Yeah. How do you feel about Keystone? I'm a
big Keystone person and I try to do it as much as I can. I'm obviously not going to try to overcharge people.
Right.
And I'm not going to try to undercharge. I don't have to get too deep into the buying process, but there's a dance.
Yeah.
And the dance helps the consumers, really.
Right.
Because I can do volume where I can get good products to better prices to consumers.
Right.
To pivot to that, we'll go all the way back to what you said about how to worry about brands in Fall River. If I'm paying my bills to these brands and I'm ordering more from them, they're eventually going to want to work with me.
100%. Yeah.
That's how that's natural.
Yeah.
That's just like anything.
You're getting paid.
I don't have to like say, I don't have to talk crap to anyone.
Yeah.
I don't have to say like, to work with us, here's why. Right. I just have to follow through.
Yeah.
And then be like, hey, like.
Well, sometimes some of the loudest voices out there have the most, skeletons in the closet.
That's mostly the case.
Yeah.
I mean, in sports, it's the people who flail the most that curdle the most.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, like go nuts and then they're kicked out of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get it's mostly the loud people in the room usually probably have most of the problems.
The worst issues.
But just be yourself, be accountable.
Yeah.
And just again.
Yeah. So you don't have to bury your competitors. You have to be like, oh, they're the worst and their store stinks, whatever. You just have to focus on your game and getting better every single day at what you're doing. Yeah. And then it'll resonate with people. And
then attaching to brands like yours and stuff, it's like seamless because then like you're good marketing and you're good.
100%.
Like, they buy your stuff in like another market and they're in Fall River and they're like, oh, Good Vibes.
It's here.
They carry, who carries Good Vibes in Fall River? And they're like, go to my store.
We got a sweet last store locator now. You should check it out.
Sweet.
But it even has stock levels and stuff like that on it.
That's amazing. That's the way you should. That's all digital now. We're going like, I know you. This shout out to this podcast. I think you really are doing the best podcast in the state right now.
Oh, thanks, man.
I love your. I mean, I know a lot of the people too, so it's amazing to see them. But I also I can't wait to listen to the one we were talking about previously.
Yeah.
And just you can always learn from others. I'm a podcast guy.
Yeah.
So I was telling my dad the other day, I'm like, you should start listening to podcasts. The best thing for me is hearing real life stories.
Yeah.
And you learn the best from real life experience.
Right.
Wisdom. Right?
Yeah. Yeah,
And so,
you're
like,
on a long car ride.
hearing all these different employees, like with their daily real life situations versus the boardroom stuff, that's where you want to learn and that's where you grow.
Well, I'm bringing boots in the ground people here. It's like the people who are actually doing the work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's important to us because for us, those are the people who are getting shit done every day.
Quality over quantity. That's the same thing with my staff. I want them to have 40 hours. I want them to get tips, and I want them to like want to show up to work, and I want them to be like living comfortably.
Right.
And then growing. So like there's a lot of places out there that like, you know, it's kind of rampant in retail with like 32 hours, like they're shorting them enough. They're keeping them enough just to keep them
Just part-time. Yeah.
But it's like, they're like, and then what I see what happens with that. So like, it's like anything like working out, right? I'll give an analogy. You go 4 days a week, you're going to crave that next 4 days.
Yeah.
And like, you're going to like stay in the length you stay.
Definitely.
You go once or twice a week. You might not go once next week and maybe twice the next week. And you know, like you're not
Better platter.
So that's the same thing with like workers. They only work like 28 hours a week. They'll like call out more.
Yeah.
Be like, am I happy here? Like, is this place for me? They're not giving me 40 hours. They're not like getting like more efficient at their job.
Is that how you combat like turnover? Because turnover bud tenders, it's a retail job at the end of the day. I know it's unique.
It's inevitable in ways with like money.
Yeah.
Like if they want to grow, they'll have to
go to the next.
Like, I can't promote.
There's only so many GMs you can have. Right?
Well, like
or whatever.
Well, like you don't want to like you know, you want to stay at least 6 months or something. If you're in a good position, and like like even a year to me, I've of course I have in cannabis is cannabis. I have a few that are under a year, right?
Yeah.
But it is what it is. But they're never under. Besides like the Quincy contract thing, none of them are under 6 months. It's like I give my time. I understand that this is for me, and then like it's either I leave or it's actually gone, right? So to me, it's just you know, you gotta just trust. You gotta let your employees know you value them, and it's like so hard to do other than just like providing them with like more like not more work, but like valuable work, where they're like, oh, like this store needs me.
Right. That's
like,
where they derive
like,
purpose.
Yeah. And then like you want them to get there. You don't want them to be like, you need me or you're gonna shut down. Like that attitude, but you want it to be like thank God I have Joey out there today or Tina out there today. Like, she's got it under control and she'll probably say the right things.
Yeah, what do you look for when you're hiring?
It's funny you say that. You gotta mix it up.
Are you still like
mix it up.
You're in the hiring process right now?
Like I got interviews.
How many people are you looking to hire, and how many have you hired so far?
So again, this is my fourth one. So kind of like Zahara, I had a month to do it, and now I'm doing it kind of like the Zahara mode. We're like,
well, because I think this is a lot of things that I've told people in the past, people who I know who are starting retails like 2 years ago.
Get ahead of it. Though.
I was like, yeah, but you can't overhire.
No, you got to wait. So
you have to wait.
So like I
did and I told everybody I made that mistake myself. That's why I'm telling you, don't do it.
Going the carrot, and then you have a person who's hired, but then 6 months later they can't even work yet.
Yeah,
that's
insane.
The worst thing you can do. I had too many bud tenders that worked under me where like the lead position said that to them.
Yeah,
like a month. So I am lucky enough to understand the timing. And I did get the rug swept a little bit because we thought we were going to be on last month's agenda. Yeah. But I did parlay it pretty good. Like that 1 month is not bad. Like,
1 month's not bad at all.
And they all have employment and stuff. But I timed it where like, you know, like I already have 10 people employed.
Nice.
Like 10 people like starting in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But like background, you got to get the background check going immediately. And I couldn't have done it. So like, you know, I was handed like, here's a bank dispensary. I'm the guy. Go figure it out. I'm not an HR guy.
Yeah. So you didn't work with a recruiter. You kind of just like.
I'll get to that. Yeah. I didn't know like, do I hire an HR person for a lot of year and like just have an HR person, which I don't know like how to, you know, like how I value that in the industry. It's like good or bad. But I ran into Kim at Zenden, and I just want to promote her right now. The Zenden is amazing. Shout out to Ideal Cannabis. They were like my buddies over there. Actually used to, one of them was my patients back in the day. They like, you know, told me about Zenden, and I'd heard about it on LinkedIn and everything, and I knew Kim from time to time, but yeah, I met her about like almost a year plus ago, like now, and I was like, I need HR, and I couldn't do without her. Like she does all the handbook, and
so I got to reach out to Kim. So that's becoming a burden.
Any local small startups in any field, cultivation, you can see her. She's helping Jersey, she's helping everywhere. Yeah, she'll help you. She'll get me. So basically she does everything up to like, she'll get me finished interviews where like they come in and I have to just basically be like, are they good enough to work? So like, you know, screening.
That's taking a lot of
that takes
time,
a lot. Where Sahara, when I had to pick up I had to go on Indeed. I'd have a stack of 30 resumes a day. I'd sift for retail and cannabis experience, and I'd have to call like 15 people. Get like 8 of them in for work. Next day, it would take a long time.
Yeah.
So this is helping me a lot. But yeah, like I have people walk. I have a mix. So I have like people I found, people she's found, and then people who walk up to the building with their resume.
Oh, that's because there's a sign on it.
A few of those people, like I have a guy coming tomorrow who walked up to me with the resume. He works at Ocean State Job Lot.
Nice.
So to me, this is like his evolvement in his life.
Yeah, because he's done retail. He's just like, how do I get to the next level?
He's kind of like an older guy. He's never probably found the right like niche in the retail, and like this is a growing industry, and like if you do well in this, you can find a way to
next level as you're proof.
And I'm helping,
and many people are
try something new.
Yeah,
so like but you know, you got to see if they're the right fit. If like it's either they got to know. To me, it's either they don't have to be anything, but retail helps and cannabis experience helps. So either they like worked in the grow or production, or they've worked in retail. You just can piggyback off each other.
Yeah, well, because even if as long as you've done retail, you can learn the cannabis side
and like the POS.
Yeah,
and the cannabis side, you just got to teach them the register. But my first day in cannabis, not to like, but I literally like. First day I walk in Seth's office, he's like, all right, we start in 30 minutes. I'm with Ryan Spriggs. Shout out to him. He's going to be a huge influencer one day. Highly optimized. He's probably one of the best. He was the best bartender at Irvine. Like really? He was waited in line for Ryan. He left the industry because he grows his own natural weed.
Yeah.
He's kind of like he's now a life coach kind of deal. Like but it's all cannabis centric. So highly optimized. Check him out. It's basically like breath work. And then facts on cannabis, like anything you tell a medical patient, but like more in depth.
Nice.
Like why cannabis matters medically in like a very deep spiritual and medical way. Like he's very.
They're gonna talk to this guy.
People would like. It's like talking to the weed philosopher. That's like what I call him. Now like what his name should have been.
Yeah.
But we had a killer crew. I got first.
That's awesome.
Ryan.
But your first day.
But yeah, my first day was me next to Ryan, and Ryan goes, "Here's what you do. You're up." And I, like, it was just like, you show me one transaction, show me how to log the grams one time, and then I'm rolling.
Yep, there you go.
That was it.
Like, that's your point of sale training.
I never had, obviously I do RVT, but back in the dark ages, you're probably doing it like during the shift. Like, there was this different world back then.
That was, RVT was in person, and then COVID hit, and then finally it went virtual, but like.
Yeah, they got it done like 2 seconds, whereas like I'm doing like the digital stuff.
There's so many things they could change to get done in 2 seconds. RVT just need to figure out what to do.
RVT, like, why do they have to have their agent card to do RBT? That's what's stupid.
Because like,
that delays a lot of stuff. Yeah. And I know there's a lot going out there, and I will just say that I agree with the process being horrible. Charlie was saying it. Charlie had a great post about like, I mean, Charlie lives it.
Yeah,
like, he does all. Like I have Zendesk. Like Charlie is in charge of all that problem, like that stuff with his son. And I could only imagine how. And that's 3 stores.
Yeah.
And big stores.
Yeah.
In a grow. In a grow. Hold on, in a grow.
Yeah.
So So the badging process to him is probably the most tedious nightmare thing of all time.
That's 4 different badges.
And it's never evolved.
Yeah.
Like things evolve.
Yeah.
Like like we went from tolls to a smart pass. It's like.
Yeah, exactly. Things happen, right?
Like,
it takes time. Yeah. But like eventually I think that it has to evolve. It has to get smarter. It has to become more efficient because
especially if they've already worked in the industry, it should just be like a re-up.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, checked in like 5 years.
Yeah, but I think the new regulations or new laws that are coming through are really more about like it belongs to the employee versus the employer. So you can take it with you now. So if you already have one badge, it's for the employee and you've already been vetted. And maybe the employer bought it the first time, but then the next, when you move over, it has to get renewed. The employer maybe would probably pay for that version when it gets the renewal. And then, but it's always attached to the employee. And therefore, you only have to have one badge. Yeah. So you don't have to have a badge for every store, plus the grow, plus the manufacturing and all this other stuff. Yeah. And more importantly, it travels with you, right? So it's like if you get hired to another store, then it already is on you. Right. Versus like the store now be like, all right, you can't wait. We have to wait for the badge first before you actually get paid anything. Right. Yeah. So it's like 2 weeks later, we got to do, RVT, we got to do all this other stuff too. Yeah. So, but even RVT, I think it had good intentions.
Could be like a couple of years and then you have to do it again.
It's got to be a couple of years. Yeah. Every time I do RVT, I'm like, can I just fast forward all this stuff? And it's also really around more like retail, right? Like,
Yeah, like bud tenders should only have to do it. Like
I'm a manufacturer and I own the company. It's like, what am I like? I get it. I'll take it every time, and I obviously ace it every single time because it's not that hard.
Yeah.
But like, it's also just like, I don't like. Maybe there should be like a custom one for manufacturers that has like more manufacturing specific stuff in it, right? Yeah. Or maybe they just have to reduce it, or maybe just put it on the bud tenders, something like that. But some of it is valuable. I can understand from cultivation and production. But it's really retail driven because a lot of it, I mean, there's ID checks and stuff like that. And of course, our security person should probably know how to check an ID as a person comes to the facility. Absolutely. Are you at least 21? Perfect. Is this who it is, right? All these other things. You got to sign them in. Like all that stuff does make sense, even for production. But it seems like there's so much things like allotments and retail and all this stuff. It's just like, I don't care. But I know it, but it's like fine.
And retail too, like it's sports team, you do need people that understand your style. So like I have a few people that have worked with me in the past that I've brought in most places. And like I'm sure you have some key players here.
Oh, absolutely.
And so like building key players is key.
A players.
Like A players, like Montana Urban, she was at Irma with me. She helped me with Zahara. I got her coming this. I'm so happy to have her back. But like it's seamless. It's almost like having like a like someone you grew up with, where like you're just like, you can leave them and
they got
an
it.
Extension, if not more, and then tell you what else you need to know.
Yeah. I mean, half the employees here probably worked with each other.
And I kind of want to piggyback, like, I spin it to like something, a real life experience of like, just we're talking retail, we're talking bud tender. I want to give these people like real life experience of like what can happen. So the GM right now at Panacea Quincy is this kid, Joe Hoyt. He was a bud tender under me at Airmont, but towards the end. Mm-hmm. Joe was a great worker. Joe was hands-on, but he sometimes lacked like accountability showing up, and he would complain sometimes about little things. And so I would just, as an older coworker, manager, was like, hey, like, you're so good at your job. Don't shoot yourself in the foot on something just think about things before you act, and like you're on the right path. And if you just if you just trust yourself, you will be somewhere, one day. And I just stayed on him, and I was, I held him accountable, but I didn't, derail him.
Right.
And now Joe runs Panacea and Quincy.
That's awesome.
Same thing with this kid, Corey at Quincy Cannabis. He's the lead over there now.
Yeah.
Corey was like a receptionist.
Yeah.
Great, like loves weed, but he was like, I'm going to work for Blue Origin, which is great company, and everything. And he had he's like, cannabis is like short-sighted and all that.
Yeah.
Now he can't get enough of the industry. Like I'd hire him as a manager tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, and those are the people. As long as you just keep on them and just like support them. It's really is like just like helping them get back on the track and or back on like the line. Like, and then that's how if I didn't get told to take a leap of faith, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
Absolutely. And I think that speaks again to almost the meritocracy side. It's like, if you're doing good work and people can recognize that you're doing good work, you're going to continue to grow.
It sounds lame, but don't ever quit on yourself. Get out of a bad situation, but don't ever quit.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I mean? Like on yourself, like change the situation for yourself, but don't quit on yourself.
Yeah. Well, that's almost goes to what I was saying earlier, which is like, you can choose to be happy too.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to live in the misery. And I find so many people, sometimes when I go to a store and I see a bud tender, they seem a little bit miserable. And I'm like, I don't really want that vibe. Yeah. I don't need your misery in my life.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that. And there's going to be some business transactions. I don't mind the business style of that, where it's busy, where it's like, you don't have to be bubbly,
right?
But you don't have to be rude.
You don't have to be rude.
Or down. Yeah. Yeah. And that's on us.
Retail.
That's on me. That's on the staff. That's on my managers. That's why it starts from the top. And that's why the foundation of your management group is kind of like, just like your starting players, is kind of like how people want to be like, okay, if I want to be Tina or Joey, like I have to start getting better at this and that, and like sponge things and ask questions.
Well, that's why I was going to the recruiting side. So you hired 10 people so far, and you've got how many more candidates?
I'm probably going to start. You start
that crew.
You start a little heavy. You don't start heavier, but you build into heavier because you don't know cannabis is cannabis.
Right.
Like I've already had someone being like, I got to go to part-time because of my other, the job I'm working and just getting.
It's so
that's what I mean about parlay.
Yeah.
I would have lost 5 of them by now if I did this 4 months ago.
Right. Exactly.
So it's just I'm heavy head down. I'll probably by the end of this month, goal wise, get 4 or 5 more people, and then from there, we'll be busy to start first couple weeks, and then like the musicals drop, and then we'll naturally, I think that par level will naturally fall into place.
Yeah, exactly. You'll naturally settle somewhere.
Like I don't want to say that, but like the performance employees will get the better days and hours just based on their performance, and it's just obviously going to happen.
How do you judge performance?
By seeing it.
Oh, is it not like point of sale transactions per like
hearing it for my so numbers matter.
I was gonna say
like
the numbers
obviously someone's going to be
point.
like, look at my average basket and look at my sales. That person is important too, but if it's like barely better than the person, you know, who's like more of a team player, then like you know that's the person I'd reward as a manager. Like it's so like numbers matter, but it's also like doing the right sale at the right time, like not like shoving a bad sale down someone's throat. That someone likes good bud and you want to get them like the cheap bud deal, like don't do that. And then like vice versa, like don't try to upsell someone to something that isn't as good, like not as good, but like isn't in their wheelhouse, or like, you know, they'll feel so like this finding it's every customer has its like niche, and it's like really trying to match the car to the customer. Shopping for one after this. It's like you really want to look for like, so the bud tender really just needs to be like, what's your budget and what are you looking for? Yeah. And that's really like, just like we said, not like that, but it's more like, you can look at their past orders, right? There's a lot of numbers to your available. But there's the deals of the day. Yeah. There's what they like. Mm-hmm. So you kind of hybrid those two together. Yeah. Like, okay, this deal fits you. Does that work for you? Okay, let's go back to your normal. Here's what we have in the wheelhouse. Have you tried this before? Okay, let's get it. Not like start with, have you tried this before? Like get them comfortable that you know what they're looking for, and then try to help them.
Yeah, that makes sense because you have that whole history if they've been there before.
Yeah, you have the history, you have their history, and the history is enough to even like get a brief snapshot. Yeah. But then you have the power of voice where you're like, okay, I saw you got this last time. You can even say that. They don't care at all. Yeah. They want you to know that, like in a weird way. Like they want to be like, what's that last vape I got? Mm-hmm. They're not going to think about it. The box is gone. Right. So it's up to them to really like use all their, like we're using trees actually. We're going different. I've used every POS. I've used FlowHub, Dutchie, Blackbird, BioTrack. They've been great so far. Trees. It's kind of like Android to Apple with Dutchie. It's like very similar, but different areas, different scene. But like for retail, my thing is everything's digital age now, right? Yeah. So we're going to have an awesome YouTube, Instagram. We're doing the Toka Genius podcast, like I said, to market our vendors. I had Rachel on. I've had a few vendors on. I'm going to maybe do a thing of cultivators to like do why you grow your way. Just so people can really understand like what's behind the product.
Yeah, and how differentiated it is.
So what were we saying before that? Sorry.
Well, I feel like I'm really going towards the point of sale because as a brand,
the point of sale trees.
Yeah, so you're using trees. So like from my perspective, I always think to myself, you know, you guys are getting hit up by like 200 people a day, or vendors, like brands, being like, hey, carry my, you know, and you get a bunch of people walking in to like just do drop-ins to be like, hey, what's going on over here, right? And then how does it influence the bud tenders? Like as a brand, like what is the appropriate, in your opinion anyways, what is the appropriate amount of like touch points that you need to get in order, or do you just rely on your staff to be like, hey, bring this product in?
So it's funny, like
we're already in your store. As full transparency, we're already in the store. I'm really talking about for other brands who might be listening to this thing, listen to what Vinny's about to say right now.
What with
regards to like, how does a brand get into your store?
Oh, so yeah.
How many times do you have to hear?
Obviously, I this is straight to brands, and I've been on the other side of the coin. We'll say, right? I was very adamant about walking into a place, introducing myself, whatever, but I never did this the sales pitch stuff.
Right. Sales, yeah.
You don't want to derail anyone's, especially managers, like time. Like 5 minutes is even a lot, right? Come in with the pamphlet, come in with an email, come in with a quick pitch, and comment and comment on the store, and actually like ask the staff if they've heard of them and stuff like that. Like get like familiar, but it's really about like personality. And then I'll like, you know, I'll meet them. I'll follow through with the brand. Maybe I'll go visit them because I'm not just going to like say, yeah, sure.
Yeah, of course.
I vet everyone.
Yeah.
And I've probably seen most of the grows and productions in the state.
I think you told us even, you're like, we don't bring anybody in unless I actually go see what I probably haven't seen every grow. Yeah. But I'm pretty sure I've seen 90% of the grows. Right. But I mean, for the ones you're bringing in, right?
And like, I think that's a huge part of it and like really like knowing. That's what I mean back to the Ermont day one. Like I knew what was going on in the kitchen. I knew what was going on in the lab, and I knew what was going on in the trim room.
Yeah.
So I could be like, we have sherbet coming in 3 days.
Right.
I like, and
Smart,
it's fresh. And like this one's been here for 2 weeks. We're going to drop it. Back in the medical days, you can move stuff faster.
Right.
And like, even like a month was old. Like it was crazy.
Yeah, exactly. A month was old. Wow.
That's
Month's
another
like the average.
That's another, like, just quick tangent. I'm going to look at dates. Like, I'm not just going to push the button for a price. I don't want old weed.
Yeah.
And a lot of people out there will buy tons of old weed just to push it out.
Yeah, send it to them then instead. Yeah.
I don't. I'd rather, you know what, not to give too much of the cooking secrets, but I'm going to use local outdoor grows that people don't know about. Like, not know about, they will overlook it because of percentage and all that. And I'm just going to give it to the same price as these crappy, no terpene,
dry,
moldy weed.
Yeah.
And hopefully my line with, when they, like, yeah, it's not going to be, it's going to be 5% less, maybe like 18, 19, 20, but smoke it. You're going to be stoned out of your mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Versus like the other one. And you're going to taste it. Yeah. You're going to want my white bags. You're not even going to look at the, I want to be Maine. You're not going to look at our percentage. You're going to I want the Agriculturalist value brand.
Yeah.
That's
exactly. And I think a lot of stores, and I've pitched this on a few stores too, because we used to do co-packing. We don't do it as much anymore. But we've told people before, it's like, you should have your own in-store brand.
Yeah.
And it should be, maybe like $1 or $2 less. But like, you know what I mean? You're not really, exactly.
You're not.
So like Walmart has their line of products, you know what I mean? Traditional retail also does these things, right? Like Stop and Shop has their own brands.
100%. But Wegmans made a living off their brand.
Right, exactly.
I'm a huge
Costco is like the majority of their money comes from Kirkland or something like that, right? So it's like you can bring in the agriculturist flour and be able to maybe price it like $1 or $2 less because you have more margin.
And it doesn't undercut. It's just like, I'm getting the Wegmans brand today. Oh, sometimes I want to get the nice one.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, it's a little better.
100%.
So like you're actually, but like that brand is not undercutting what it is. It's always going to be consistently at that BB range. Right?
Yeah.
And that's what I mean about the production license, like having that in our back pocket with our packaging and just being able to do all that ourselves. I even have ideas with vapes with Nimbus. Like we have a lot of ideas to collaborate with branding. But I want to get consumers quality, better weed head products, not like mass manufactured.
Yeah.
For the right price.
Right.
And it's all about sourcing. And so like that way, I will go back to Keystone with white labeling. Keystone's not as big of an issue because you can just go bulk buy.
Yep.
And you can price it what you think's fair.
Right, exactly.
So I'm not even playing that game.
Right.
I'm playing what I think is right.
Right. Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. And I've tried to encourage as many dispensaries to take on that kind of model. And I think some dispensaries just aren't in a financial position to potentially do some of those things. But, we'll say, because you're still just buying, from a vendor, from a manufacturer or cultivator.
Terms matter too. Like you got to mix and match the right terms and the right types of vendors.
Yeah.
And like some of these vendors need the money quicker than others.
Exactly. Yeah, we've been working with terms at our end a little bit, just to speak on terms, because that's a really interesting topic to us, especially present, because, we have, I would say, out of the 5 or 6 bad debts we have now over the years, this is actually in total, because we've been able to claw back some of the other ones. We have 5 going to small claims right now, and we have 1 that we sent to collections. So
that's all happening now.
That's all happening right now. And so
that's why we're seeing them shut down.
Basically, yeah. And so, and it's funny because even though relationships matter, I feel like someone posted this on LinkedIn the other day, something similar to this, but which I agree with, which is the relationships are huge and important and stuff like that. But even with a strong relationship with somebody, if they start ghosting you,
you're cool until you're not.
You're cool until you're not. That's the perfect way of saying it.
Yeah,
and so, that recently happened with us, with the store we were very friendly with.
In finance, you go to jail. Like that's the difference.
Exactly.
Like, I have a different mindset.
Yeah.
Like my boss is pretty strict. Like we're not going to just throw money like it's crazy.
Right.
Like we're going to be very efficient with it. And like, he runs restaurants. Like he has to pay vendors all the time.
100%.
Like, so
and restaurants
he lives
hard to run.
It's the hard,
it's the hardest
I watched, shout out to Kirk. I watched the guy who runs their restaurant group, and God bless that. Like the whole group, it's like a dispensary is one thing. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Restaurants
and events and all that, and a cidery or whatever.
Right.
Now they have a cigar lounge.
Yeah.
So I guess not to give too much out with the next location, but he does own we have a plaza in Plymouth with a cigar lounge in the G Pub, and I would love to put our other agriculturists right there.
Nice.
All on brand, all like G
Plymouth, all right.
Hospitality, Little Row in Plymouth.
Is Plymouth
it's way up and coming right now.
I was gonna say, is Plymouth, besides transporters?
So that's what I told Colin. I'm like, Plymouth is ripe for the taking.
Yeah.
Plymouth is a huge it's like one of those, it's not like a Lowell or Fall River where it's like saturated deep down, but it's a big place.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of money. No, so there's only Elevated Roots, which is a good company.
Which is Kingston.
But they're in Kingston. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Triple M in Verano. Verano's an
MSL and Triple M, yeah. Triple M's there, that's right.
Like a medical grandfathered in. They are what they are.
Yeah.
They need more people. Like,
100%.
More.
I did think about that because I've only ever heard of like the third-party transporters there because they're all coming out of Plymouth. Like, why are they all concentrated in Plymouth?
Kind of a wicked gap. Like where I grew up is the worst gap because poor Norwood won't vote it in. Norwood would be, if Norwood, no offense to like Apato or all the ones on the outside of Norwood, Westwood, Dedham, where I grew up.
Yeah.
Even like all of them. Yeah. If Norwood got, like if MIM, like MIM, they're not MIM anymore, unfortunately. But like if any of those companies could figure it out, then that place, if Norwood ever approved it, that place would crush.
Yeah, it's medical only.
Well, yeah, it's like Plymouth is kind of like that. It's a lot of, actually Plymouth, to me, I see it within the industry, a lot of like young, late 20s, early 30s, that's where they go to party now, is Plymouth.
Oh.
Like a lot of young professionals.
At Plymouth Rock?
Because it's
like,
beach. Think about this beach, there's golf. It's kind of like
true.
Like off, it's not like Foxborough or Worcester or Harborough. It's like Plymouth's cooler. And so that's kind of like, I saw it being a trend recently.
Actually, speaking of, so you talked about this earlier. So what about the legacy, kind of the streets of Plymouth? Is there a vibe like that? Because you had said Brockton.
I'm sure Plymouth has like, it's like, I have a guy who goes up to Maine who grows it and like comes back down and lives in $1.2 million home and like gives me weed.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure there's some of that Plymouth. They're like, it's been that way for a while and they're like in their 60s and they're not going to change. Yeah. But like they don't have, that's because they don't have any stores around. Yeah. I love Cape Way Cannabis. They're one of my favorite. They're in Carver. So like they're on the other side of Plymouth and they're a great store for that area. But like, I would like to be them on the other side. Yeah. Just a nice, cool little mom and pop, awesome culture, cool products. Yeah. And like,
well, it just goes to show you that there are hidden pockets that there's still opportunity here. It's just that you have to, again, I go back to location a lot. You have to, like, location is everything. You can't just pop up in some industrial park, in some back lot, in some town that already has 4 dispensaries.
I'll give you
it's not going to work.
You don't want to get a free license. Even if you were handed a free license, you'll probably lose money.
You'll end up losing money.
In a town like that.
Yeah.
Like, no offense, like, Comcan's got this on lock. Because Millis, my friends all came here 5-7 years ago when it all started. Yep. They'd come to Millis all over from Boston. Yep. So putting another one in Medway Millis, you're not going to have a chance.
No.
That person said
they're already so established.
So like, watch out for anyone prospecting with the town you're in. Make sure there's not already established player.
Yeah, exactly.
And not to say that you can't win, like back to Zahara and Nova, we're back in Fall River, but you know, some towns have 15,000 people, and maybe 5 of them smoke weed. Yeah, like 5,000.
Well, like sometimes
maybe less than that.
I feel like the big opportunities maybe in flipping to adult use in some of these towns. Yep. Because there's still, you know, and especially around here, there's like it is Comcan. That's it. Literally, I think you can go to Franklin, you go to Botera, Netta, and things like that.
Gap.
Like,
I live in Plainville, so it's like there's not much. Like Apato is like wreck, and they crush it because there's not. Besides that, there's Native Sun on the other end.
Right, exactly.
And then the other side is Attleboro, Zahara, and them.
Exactly.
Well, there's
people.
So when I need
smoke a ton of weed.
Actually, Comcan Mansfield, shout out, they become my go-to.
Yeah, okay.
Because they're my local. They have medical stuff.
And they got good deals.
They have great deals, medical. It's like I know who's behind the curtain. Yeah. And I like their staff. Yeah. Actually, they do everything. I walk in, they have the cool shirts now. They have like a cool Comcan, the Severance shirt. It's like, did you watch that?
Cool, I haven't seen that.
Oh, the show is amazing. But the shirt,
I haven't seen the shirt.
They made the funny shirt on. They make all those funny shirts. They have like the Comcan with the Bruin symbol and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm kind of like, we're more like, so I'm going to do that riff, but we're kind of more like instead of the satire merch, we're going to be like flower hoodies, flower pocket. Like we want to actually have like a line of clothing. That
digging into the agriculture.
Yeah, like kind of like that higher end thing, like I said before, but branded. Like,
absolutely.
You have this, you know, you have artsy brand. Like we're incorporating a lot of art in our store. So we actually, I think her name's Anna Maria. We bought like 4 pieces from her and put above our fireplace. She's a local Fall River artist.
Nice.
And then we got a bunch of colorful plant artwork in the store. And then me and my assistant Michael decided to do a cool wall as you walk up to the counter. That's going to be like a biography wall. We're gonna have like Jack Herrera, someone else, and
Nice.
someone else.
What about the family
Pictures.
What about the family line of like the history of that building and stuff like that? Any
I've been
touches
trying
upon
to.
that?
I've been trying to incorporate that in.
Yeah.
We'll probably will down the line. I would like to have Colin like talk about it on camera in my podcast.
Yeah,
like
that's a good idea.
Cheryl Wagner and stuff.
Yeah.
which we surely will do.
Right.
But yeah, once we start white labeling, there's no problem. No like, and we can maybe name something.
I was gonna say that
That's
name
where-
has to come out.
That's where
Yeah.
it's 100% gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like the Cheryl Wagner there might be a strain called Cheryl Wagner.
Yeah,
like or some product that like something like that, or the Grand or like Wagner or something. OG. But we'll figure it out.
So as we start to close here, I have another question for brands because I feel like there are a lot of brands who do listen to this podcast, as well as even cultivators and stuff like that. By main brands, I mean manufacturers, people who make products in the industry. When you get to the facility, it's so loud. I got earplugs. I was like, I can't even deal with this right now. It's so loud. But over here, it wasn't that bad. It was like chirpy. And then Suite 7, some reason, I don't know why, those are not connected to the main panel. So that's why everybody goes to Suite 7 if something goes off, because we're just like, it's so much quieter in there.
Well, we got some firefighter podcast listeners now.
Yeah, exactly. So congratulations. Thank you for subscribing. It was Megan and Nick, I think, right? Yeah, Megan and Nick, thank you so much to our new podcast subscribers.
Stay cool out there.
Medway Fire Department, Medway FD, thank you so much for your
Shout out
love.
to them. They're doing a good job.
Exactly. They're dealing with a chemical leak down
Yeah,
the
it's not
street.
easy.
Which they happened to be, and we were like, how is that connected? But in reality, it was our fire alarm that went off. And so they just happened to walk over, and we were able to get that done. But it was no harm, but we're back. Yeah.
Quite a.
Anyways, I was asking about brands, and I was actually specifically asking about the idea for you on the hunt for brands. Right. So Flower Expo is coming in, right? So like, are you going to Flower Expo?
It's a great transition.
Yeah. Like, where are you going? Like, when you go and you're like, hey, we have an empty spot for a gummy or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like, what's your process, or a flower pre-roll, whatever?
So I'll combine it all. So Flower Expo this year, the timing of it, I might send Michael or I'll be there myself. I do value it. I think it's one of those things you want to be personal in the industry, and it's a place you can definitely make connections even deeper with the right brands, right? Again, it's all about connections. I wouldn't have met you or anyone if they weren't around each other and got to know each other. So Flower Expo on the side, I don't know. It depends how like when our opening date is, all that. So
Commence.
It's literally
Goes
right when
operation.
it's commencing.
Yeah.
So shout out to Flower Expo though. I really value that. It's a great time. It's outside. It's kind of like my favorite event, I think.
It's fun. It's
a fun
outside.
event. It's like the local fun event.
Yeah.
Where it's more like hanging out and then like what can we do to help each other?
Yeah, exactly.
So for me, there's 2 things I look for in brands. So obviously you need to mix big brands, little brands, because you have to, you like, to me, you got to have at least one MSO that you're trusting to work with that like helps you on the ground floor, right? Because they're just consistent with like some of these small places with production, like, oh, we already sold all that, or like, you
can't get that straight anymore.
Straight up
Yeah.
inventory. So I'm just going to plug them right now. Curaleaf has become my closest, and it's based on the head of sales, Jack McCarthy, who I met way back, a long time ago across the counter. He was just a little account rep.
Yeah.
Back then, I didn't think twice of any MSOs because like kind of was like before MSOs had to be involved.
Right.
We kind of hit it off. I could never buy his product because of like, we were internal, but I really liked his his attitude, his like, I promise we can work together to make it work. And then eventually we worked together and we did really well. Like he gave me we worked together organically to find the right price, the right volume that hit the right prices for our market. That's all it is. It's volume, price, and if the ball gets going, the snowball just snowballs, and you
can grow the relationship.
It's growing the right way.
Right.
They support you in the beginning. You get their stuff out there, and then
if it
goes
works,
out, it goes from there and there. You know what I mean?
That's your base level.
That's my baseline is trust. So like, I don't care about Curaleaf for their stock market or whatever that. I just care about the local kid that I know will get me the better products when I'm like, hey, here's what I need. And he understands my style, my market, and like They're very good at branding, like giving back to the vendor. Like they're really good with merch. I don't think they have the worst products for MSO.
Do they? Is it their brand, Curaleaf, or do they have side brands?
They have a bunch of brands. They have sub brands. I mean, obviously it's a Curaleaf. So
Select.
They like Select is their base brand and Grassroots is their
Grassroots.
brand.
Okay.
But again, it's more about the relationship. Like it's not about Curaleaf. If Jack was at another place, who knows? I might be working with that.
Right.
So it's more about that relationship trust. It's like we know how to do it. He's not going to give me something he won't smoke or either. I mean, if he does, it's in the price range that I need. Right.
Right. He won't steer you wrong in that.
So he won't steer me wrong. And now he asked about this taste. Shout out to Scott McKenzie. He's my rep now. He's there. My point is, good people find
Scott,
good people. The fact that I'm working with Jack and Scott again, like I'm happy, and we're all gonna win together. Like it's a team building thing, and it's like, yes, they work with other people in the market. I'm not gonna say the relationships matter this far, but like I'm pretty sure I can not get exclusivity, but better exclusivity with my relationships with my follow through.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's where
well, you said follow through. This is the second time you mentioned follow through. Follow through is a lot of this, right? Because it's like you got to do what you say you're going to do.
And not ghost them.
And not ghost. Yeah, exactly.
And like actually promote like what they're going to promote. Like not take their stuff and then slash the price and do your own deals.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing we're battling all the time with some of our stores.
Yeah.
Is that like, we're like, hey, here's our range. And we're not trying to implement like MAP pricing as it's known as, where it's just like there's a certain range you have to be inside for MSRP.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily want to tell you what to sell it for. But if we're selling it you for like, say, $10 and you're selling it for on your store for like $30, that's where it rubs me the wrong way. I'm like, guys, like, if you can't, you should be able to sell for Keystone in 20. I know you want to make that extra more. So still $22, $24 maybe, but 30, you're out of your, like, what are you doing? Like, we don't see any of that money. And the customer looks at you and be like, wait a minute, I can drive 20 minutes down the street and get it for, for $20, not for 40 or whatever.
Outskirt ones that take advantage of that.
Yeah. So especially in those isolated markets that no other competition is. They're like, let's juice it up a little bit.
It's short-sighted because you're burning that relationship and you're just getting short-sighted margins.
Yeah, exactly. Well, because it's just like, we're fine with Keystone. And like, it's okay. Like, even though I didn't love that in the beginning, when people kept on telling me when I started getting into the industry and people were like, it's 50%. And I was just like, okay, 50 cents. So if I sell for 10, they're going to sell it for 15. They're like, no. Keystone is 100% in your eyes.
I have the problem the opposite way. I like moving product and getting traffic.
Yeah.
I think traffic's more important than Keystone.
So you take a little bit of hit on margin in order to get the product going.
I will on certain ways, and I'll make up for it in other ways.
Okay.
But I think that's where I usually win, especially on a Friday. Eat some margins on a Friday and get traffic. And those extra 100 people are going to make up for that.
Absolutely.
And they're going to come back.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
it's just way better. That's me. And you have to do it every time.
Yeah, but so when you're going out,
so like if we show up there, like it might be on sale.
Right. Like so going back to the buying side though, so when you're going out and seeking, you ever told me like you go to the facility, right? So if there's something if there's a menu gap,
I didn't get to that. So so like eventually it's a relationship. So it's like all the vendors like you, like Jack and Scott, all these other vendors that I'm having on my part, like that I've known, I've either worked with, I've worked before with them, I've known them in the industry at the Flower Expo, you name it. I trust that they're working at the company because the company's trusting them and they like actually are like they love cannabis, so they're not like selling.
They wouldn't go somewhere
a widget just to sell a widget.
Right. They wouldn't go there because it's a fat paycheck. They'd go there because they believe in the purpose of the store.
Like, okay, I'm like certain big brands out there, I don't want to say any names, that come and they put billboards everywhere and they get those sales reps that are jumping around every 3 months. Yeah. Like those are the ones I'm okay with. Yeah. Like I'm like, sure. Yeah. Even if you give me the best price in the world, I don't trust it.
Right.
And I also don't think your product is better than the local version of that.
Right.
But no one knows the local version because you give them like a couple dollars less. You're literally looking out there and like undercutting them.
Undercutting everybody, yeah.
Like perfectly to get in the market. Yeah. So like we don't need to do that. We just need to I can just find the right, like within these local vendors, they all have something that is like just not as perfectly boxed or like perfectly, like it's just not as fine tuned, but it's there.
Yeah, exactly.
We just need to get people to understand like, oh, this is a cooler local brand. There's the map. Our bartenders would buy this before the other thing anyway. Cosmos, I'm not saying it, but like bigger ones are buying it at bulk, right?
Yeah.
Like they're not thinking about dates or other things. I don't know. I'm not going to say that that's exactly what's going on, but I'm pretty sure that our care to our menu will be our difference. and our like our actual relationship with the vendor. So end of the day with the big question of like vendor relationships is I rely on so like today I was like, Scott, we're here. You cook up what you think would work best for me because you're the expert and I trust you. I'll look at it. I'll make some changes and let's go. And versus like, here's what I like versus me dictating what I need. And I think that's how you win. Like, and it actually naturally becomes better that way anyway.
Yeah. Because they don't want to burn it. They don't want to burn a bridge. They're not going to send you something that they know because it's a relationship.
And like, they're not, and because they know what you stand for, they're not going to just throw you that 7th, 8th month old weed.
Right.
Just to,
yeah. You already told them up front,
like,
I
want to, they're going to let you know, and it's my choice.
The price. And it's the price.
And it's my choice. And I'll tell my customers it's old, but it's cheap.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's what we got to be. We're just honest.
Yeah, exactly. You got to be transparent about it.
Old weed's old weed. I smoke old weed if I have to. Like, if I have it. And, but it's not something I'm proud of. But it's,
I got a lot of old weed you can have. I don't smoke. People hand me old weed
if
all the
I
time.
can afford it, I will avoid it. Right?
Yeah.
I don't need to. Even if it's like 40%.
Yeah.
I don't care. It's old.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, if the right price meets the right margin, I'll do it. But,
well, I think I always take it from the brand perspective. And again, I remember when I say brand, I really mean cultivators, manufacturers, things like that. People who are actually bundling the packages.
But I go there. Like, I'm here today. Like, I brought Colin's actually been here. Remember? He was this is one of the only few, he's been to a few grows, and this is like probably the only production because I wanted to show him drinks. Drinks are so unique.
Yeah.
He loved it here. But yeah, like you said.
Well, he has a cidery too, so he gets it.
Good.
Yeah.
We'll talk. But I really do think like you need to go and you need to understand and you got to see, like, I love going and meeting like the grow lead who actually probably has the most knowledge ever.
Yep.
And he looks like he's never left the grow. And I'm like, those guys are my favorite.
He just has like a hut in the corner,
or
like a tent in the corner of the facility.
You're just lunch with the legacy grow guy.
Yeah.
And you hear crazy stories and you realize like this guy has grown weed in crazy situations. Like this is easy for him. And it's just the artist. It's just like understanding like he's going to innovate. He cares. He's not looking for like, oh, we found the super lemon haze that we can just keep hammering home.
Right.
And just get margins on.
I actually have one more question before we wrap because it popped into my head because it seems like you've been doing this for a long time. You've been grinding, you've been doing all these things, and you switched careers even to be in this industry, right? Yeah. Which we've definitely heard those stories. And another finance bro that came in, Mike Lamy.
I'm one of the few. Yeah. I saw it. Michael Lamy, when he posted that post, I was like, that was, like, you know, it rhymes. It's not the same.
Right.
But I'm like, you realize there's a lot of other people like you out there, but that was exactly what
That's what it was. So career change, you're like, if I'm going to do something in my life, I want to do something I'm passionate about, I love, so I'm going to switch careers here. And so you went down this path. What is the end game for you?
That's so I guess like I listen to a lot of podcasts. And it's like the Jordan Peterson self-authoring thing that kind of hit me home like about 15, 16. That's when I left my career. Like, and it's like, have a vision and just go for that target. So to me, it was like, that's why I tried wholesale. But during the wholesale, I just understood like, okay, what am I good at? I'm good at like consistency. I'm counting retail operations, like people management. Like it just kind of was like my bread and butter. I've done it, experience. So you want to just build something for yourself, I guess. I'm not saying this is my dispensary, but my name and my reputation is attached to the dispensary. So if when all said and done and I look up in 5 more years, we have 3 successful businesses named the Agriculturalist, whether it be 3 stores, a lounge in 2 stores, a delivery in 2 stores, and we're known as the place you want to sell weed to.
Yeah.
Like Native Sun, like Comcan. Like,
those are the people you look up to, right?
I want to be I don't need to go. I know it's easy you say and you go. The money is not like the thing. I want like stability. Like I want to be at my kids' games being like, that's my company. This is my company.
Right.
Like, what do you do? And I'm proud to like be behind the Agriculturalist and like push cannabis to like a normal light.
Yeah, normalcy is everything.
I don't plan on, unless something drastic happens. I love this industry. It's a tough industry. Who knows what happens? But I'm in this, like, this is my baby right here, and I'm attaching my wagon to it. And like, I'm hoping that, you know, we become. He had this license in 18, and now it's 2025. So I said, good things take time. Like my post the other day, like I told Colin when I met him, like, you're coming in at the right time, because all the people who quit. The people who never change are dying, and the new people are kind of winning. Yeah. And the people who win are really winning. So, like, The winners are really going ahead.
Yeah.
We can just find those pockets, and there's obviously always going to be like restaurants, like any brand. There's always going to be a new guy coming.
Yep. Oh yeah, you've got to innovate or die, man.
Like branding, you just got to innovate.
You got
As a store, you have to innovate for sure, or like rebrand. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So we'll see how we
So
go.
you're tightening all those little loose screws to get it all launched.
Like example A, like I'll end it this. The reason I'm going with like all the trees and all these digital, like we want people to be able to like the ACH, so you can just like have your card attached, so you can just pay, so you can walk in my dispensary. We just click the button. You know what I mean? Like,
Are you kidding
new
me?
age
That's
coming.
amazing.
Yeah,
Trees
and
allows you
we're
to
at
do that?
They have the ability to. Obviously, nothing's pulled until they come.
No,
to
of
the store,
course.
show the
But I think that is now that's an innovation. That's an innovation.
It's a wicked.
Because we were talking internally, like,
hey,
so
hey,
cash this, cash that.
No,
Yeah, you can do the ATM trick or
just
something like
you
that.
set up your Netflix account, right? Obviously, it can't be a debit card. It has to be the
bank
bank.
account,
But
yeah.
that's what we're doing.
But there's an app for it or something?
It's just Trees Pay is the company, and they've combined with the debit company, and they just
do the transactions to that.
They just have it so it
Smart.
They just
Smart
put all their
trees.
information in. They said they're 21 plus. They sign in. They come in. We check their ID.
ID
Their
scanned and everything.
Payment's
whatever.
kind of
Yeah.
like waiting on ice, like
Yeah.
versus no card swipe, nothing, and we just let them go. So it's like one less step. So like if we
Slick.
get that so automated that like
Slick.
people, and then they're in our newsletter and everything, and like we become their like trusted source.
Digital.
We want to be the but
You gotta be
digital is like,
connected.
oh, you're gonna see me on videos, but that's what I watch when I'm on my phone.
100%.
I'm
I think that's what
not
people
doom
don't get.
scrolling.
Yeah.
I'm just looking for fun videos.
And I think sometimes that's what it takes, because you have to have these innovations from local level to get your point across, to get that cultural effect. It gets people watching you that really care about the products that you're carrying and really care about your story.
Yep.
Because that doesn't come out in a spreadsheet in Ohio.
No,
It doesn't. It's totally not related at that point.
people are gonna be like, how are they winning? That's what you want to be.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know, there's no numbers it should tell you besides, like, within me and my boss. Or something.
Yeah,
But like, those numbers are never going to be every 6 months. Like it might change in different ways.
Right.
That's what I mean. You have to innovate,
Innovate.
and people too. And worry. I'll end at this: the people is everything.
People.
So the people behind the company, like attached to your company, like one bad person can ruin it. One good person can make it much better. So like you just got to monitor. It's like, it's just quality people make a quality store.
Absolutely. People are everything.
We are hiring agriculturalists in Smart River, our website and Indeed. But we're looking for great, passionate cannabis people. And I saw in there that some little stats that you guys do decent in Fall River. So I'm excited to bring them.
We
to
do
Fall
okay.
River.
We do okay.
Yeah. So
And that's why one of the reasons why it's funny, because there's this next generation of companies that are coming up that have learned the lessons all the things that have befallen these past operators. And you're like, oh, so don't hire 40 people, 40 bud tenders on day one. Okay, check. You know what I mean? Like all
every
these
company
crazy
I read
things.
in there is one I would work for.
Yeah.
And every company is a solid owned company that like has the right ideas. I know from wholesale.
Right.
So you're picking the right partners, and again, it's all about the people and the partnership.
Yeah.
And so,
Fantastic. Well, thank you so
brand's
much
great.
for coming on, man.
Yep.
This is great.
Thank you
so
for
much.
having me. I really appreciate having me, and look forward to you coming on mine next time.
Absolutely. I'll be there.
Cool.
Cheers.
Look for us in June.
Thanks.
I don't know the exact date yet.
Cheers.
Cheers.